Here's my reaction when it comes to what Zebec made a post not too long ago regarding Certic. Now, even though nothing I say is financial advice, what do I even mean by this, right? Not too long ago, Zebec made a post talking about how they work closely with Certic for over 3 years. And the thing is, when it comes to Certic, sometimes people may be thinking, okay, what is that? It's something that's pretty well known. Like, for instance, Certic within that space of like smart contract audits, within that space of, let's say, we take a look at on-chain monitoring, they're pretty well known, right? And when I take a look at someone like Zebec, even talking about this, I think this right here kind of showcases their sort of vibe when it comes to compliance and all this type of stuff, even though it's not a direct match, I would say. But we have to consider Zebec has a pretty, I would say, heavy focus towards compliance. We take a look at what they did with MICA, or should I say MICA. We take a look at what they did with SOC2 and how they're working when it comes to towards FCA and even ISO 20022. So when I take a look at, again, their kind of partnership, arguably I would say for Certic, or should I say with Certic for over 3 years, that's pretty impressive because they claim that when it comes to this, again, they've been working closely with Certic for over 3 years to maintain the highest institutional grade security standards. And I find that pretty impressive, actually, in the grand scheme of things. Now, when it comes to, let's say, Certic, they have something called Certic Skynet. And when it comes to this, the Certic Skynet score, when it comes to Zebec, is 86.92. So that's a double A. Now, is that the highest possible hypothetical rating? I would assume probably not, but you know what? It's not that bad in my perspective, right? In the grand scheme of things, considering how Zebec isn't necessarily the biggest project out there. So when I take a look at something like this, I am, I would say pretty impressed with what Zebec has done so far, because other projects out there with kind of the size of Zebec, they don't really care about this type of stuff, but Zebec seems to care. And when I take a look at it, when it comes to Certic, my thing is that, sure, I mean, they do a lot of this type of stuff for like a bunch of projects, right? But then when I take a look at, let's say, something like ZBCN, within this Skynet research, when I take a look at it, I see that when it comes to their sort of score, when it comes to the operational side of things, it seems to be pretty okay. When it comes to the fundamental side of things as well, when it comes to also the community, it does have a good score within that specific sort of Skynet score, I would say, when it comes to Certic. But again, when it comes to actually not too long ago within this Skynet research, Zebec was considered in terms of DeFi top 140, right? However, to be a little bit more specific, it was actually ranked 136, but again, that's still top 140. So I find that pretty impressive in the grand scheme of things. Now, when it comes to Zebec, people sometimes like to say, no one's really going to care about this project because being focused on something like payrolls, for instance, or, global trade and finance and all this, people like to say, it's kind of oversaturated. But to me, it doesn't feel like that in my perspective, because I just can't name 20 or 30 popular projects within the space of that, Like, I feel like there's more than 5, but I don't think there's more than like 15 or more than 20 that are that well known, or should I say, at least that seems that compelling to me. Like, if we just take a look at it, of course we know Stellar is number 2, right? Within that global trade and finance space. We take a look at number 3 is XDC. Number 4, arguably, I would say it's actually Zebec. It's kind of a toss-up sometimes between Zebec or Onyx, or should I say XCN. But then beyond that, we take a look at Swiftcoin, XPR. That's not more than 10. That's just my point of view. And even when it comes to the niche of, I would say, payrolls, like, there's not that many popular projects out there that are really focused on that, in my perspective. Like, I'm not saying Zebec's the only one, but I'm just saying, like, it seems to have a pretty good presence, I think, within that space. Even despite not being even a top 100 project. But I'm just saying. When I take a look at ZBCN, I mean, I get the pullback, right? I mean, we already kind of saw a pretty significant pullback when it comes to, in the case of ZBCN. And then now we're seeing how Tencent is even further away from my last video that I made when it comes to ZBCN, because currently ZBCN is around 36 times lower than that. Not too long ago, it was around like 30 times, then became 32 times, now it's around 36 times lower than that. But then my perspective is that, you know what, personally for me, this is the altcoin space. What can I do about it? The only thing I can do is really just still take a look at the updates, and I think that's pretty much about it. I mean, I'm just holding, I haven't given up. But then in the meantime, though, I mean, okay, ZBCN's having a pullback, but I'm just still dollar cost averaging once a month. That's pretty much about it. Now, I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but if I can actually dollar cost average and let's say the price isn't hypothetically doing the best, I don't know if that would seem like such a, I would say, unpleasant thing for me because, again, I am trying to dollar cost average. So if a project that I like is having a pullback temporarily, right? Or should I say in the short to medium term, I don't know if I would necessarily be complaining about that too much, but that is just my perspective. When it comes to something like Zebec, I do like what I'm seeing when it comes to what they did with Certic because some other projects out there, they don't really care. But granted, though, even a lot of projects out there that have like a meme sort of vibe, they even do stuff with Certic. So it's not the coolest thing of all time, but I still find it pretty cool nonetheless that they're even putting that effort to begin with, right? Because, I mean, come on, right? Working with Certic for over 3 years, that's pretty impressive. Some other projects out there, maybe they don't really care after a year or so, but this one still seems to care. So yeah, I just wanted to make an update video real quick to just talk about this when it comes to Zebec because, they even bother mentioning stuff like this, right? Other projects out there, they just don't really update anymore. So I do like this. Zebec can't have a new partnership, I think personally, every single day. A new one, I would say, right? Because that's pretty difficult. But at least if they're still updating and still talking about what they're doing, I find it pretty interesting nonetheless because it showcases how they haven't quite essentially forgot about the project, in my opinion. So I do like seeing stuff like this again, but yeah, that's pretty much about it. I want to say thank you for watching. I hope you all have a nice day, and I'll catch you on the next one. It's been Lee the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.